Hi, my name is Stephen Phillips, in lockdown in the UK. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This is a video about my HP laptop Model 17 ca0003na. Recently I had a problem with it when the hinges broke on the laptop lid screen. I ended up replacing a laptop Palmrest upper case. The screen lid on my HP Model 17 laptop hinges failed, causing one hinge to break the top cover. The laptop screen lid had felt extremely tight for some time, until the screen lid became very tight. Then the worst happened. One of the hinges broke the keyboard top cover. Not having ever taken a laptop apart, I had to learn quickly how to disassemble and hopefully rectify the issue. This was made harder by the hinges being loose inside. In the pictures below you can see the damage done by the hinge breaking the keyboard top cover. Disassembly of a laptop. Removing a laptop bottom housing requires 10 screws to be removed in the base. 2 sets of screws are hidden under each of the rubber feet. Remove the optical disk drive by removing a retaining screw in the base. Then remove the 2 pan-headed screws hidden underneath it. Once all the screws are removed from the base, use a plastic tool to ease the base away from the top keyboard cover. Once the base is removed, you need to disconnect the wireless card cable and laptop screen cable connections. Use a plastic tool or fingers to carefully lift the retaining tab for the video cable connections. Now unscrew the 6 screws holding the screen brackets in position. Lift the screen away from the top keyboard cover. Ensure all the cables are free from associated retaining plastic clips. Once the keyboard top cover is free, you'll find this houses a motherboard and all key components of the laptop. Remove the 4 screws retaining the battery, then lift the battery up and place it somewhere safe. I recommend taking a photograph of all the components for reference later, in case you want to verify connection details. Also, I use a plastic container used for making ice cubes to store screws removed. Removing the laptop bottom cover. There are actually 10 screws located in the bottom cover you need to remove. There's one for the optical drive, which is in the middle there, which you need to remove at first, so you can slide then the optical drive out the way. Then from top to bottom, you've got 2 screws under the rubber feet you need to remove. Then 3/4 of the way down, you've got 2 screws to remove there. Then under the bottom rubber feet, you've got 2 screws to remove there. Then on the edge of the laptop, there's 1 screw to remove. And finally, there's 2 pan-headed screws underneath where the optical drive was. So then remove them. Then you need to get a plastic tool to slowly prise the edge of the cover open so you can remove the bottom cover. View inside the bottom housing is shown below for reference. In the picture is a view of the hinge and the broken fixings. The plastic around the brass threaded inserts had all broken. In the picture is a view of each hinge location and the broken fixings. As a temporary measure, I glued the brass inserts back in the keyboard top cover. Not ideal. I've seen hot glue used, which might have been a better option. In the picture is a close-up view of a screen hinge and a nut which I adjusted to reduce the screen lid tightness. I then glued the corner plastic back onto the keyboard top cover. Not ideal, but better than nothing. In the picture is a view of a laptop keyboard palmrest without the screen lid attached. Eventually I decided to buy a new keyboard top cover, which I found being sold by a company called Grandado in Hong Kong. Amazingly, they delivered the item in about 1 week. Despite my reservations, it was an exact match. I then had to remove all the components located on the keyboard top cover. Uninstalling components located in the keyboard top cover. Remove the 10 screws from the base and the optical disk drive. Then use a plastic tool to ease the base away from the top keyboard cover. Remove the 4 screws retaining the battery, then lift the battery up and store it away safely. Next, disconnect the wireless card ARU cable and the screen video cable connections. Use a plastic tool or fingers to carefully lift the video cable connection retaining tab. Now remove the 6 screws holding the screen brackets in position. Lift the screen away from the top keyboard cover carefully. Make sure all cables are free from any retaining plastic lugs. Now the keyboard top cover is free, you'll find this houses a motherboard and all key components. Lift and unplug and remove the hard drive. Remove the USB I/O port. Lift the cable retaining tab and take out the 2 screws. Remove the touchpad buttons. Lift the cable connection retaining tab and take out the 2 screws. Remove the Wi-Fi card. Lift the cable connection retaining tab and take out the 1 screw. Remove the optical disk drive connector, lift the cable connection retaining tab and take out the 2 screws. Then the keyboard, lift the cable connection retaining tab so it's free from a motherboard. Touchpad, lift the cable connection retaining tab so it's free from a motherboard. Unplug the speaker cable. Now remove the motherboard retaining screws and the 2 screws holding the fan. I decided to leave the CPU in place, then remove the motherboard, fan and power socket all together. Once the motherboard and fan were removed, I was left with just the touchpad and the keyboard hidden below the mounting plate. After removing the speakers, I carefully eased up the mounting plate, which is held by lots of plastic rivets. Once the mounting plate was removed, the keyboard was also held by lots of circular plastic rivets. I had to carefully ease up the keyboard to remove it, not for the faint-hearted. After the mounting plate and keyboard were removed, I tried to remove the touchpad, but this seemed to be glued in. Eventually I decided more by luck than judgment to ease up the touchpad, breaking the plastic retaining rivets and transpose into the new keyboard top cover. I then fixed the keyboard and mounting plate onto the new keyboard top cover. I had to try a few attempts getting the keyboard flat and stuck securely into the new top cover. The first few times the keyboard had a sag in the middle. Again, maybe hot glue would have been a better solution. Once these are all in position, you can start then to install the motherboard, etc. back into the new top cover. Note, don't like me forget to install the speakers first. My thoughts are the design of the keyboard, mounting plate and touchpad are not designed to be used as serviceable. Also, the hinges fixed into the threaded brass inserts pressed into the plastic cover are not very robust. That's about it. I'm sure lots of you will have a better methodology than me for doing that replacement job. I'm just glad that I can again close the screen lid on my laptop. Thanks for watching.